When you say to somebody, for example, with the 12-step program, you need to be really clear on step number 1 before you can go anywhere else. It makes you rethink your own step number 1. Do I truly believe I am powerless? Have I tried to take back some of that power? Have I tried to convince myself somehow that I can control? And then you go on to step 2 and you try to convince them, you try to talk to them, show to them, live for them that there is something more powerful than you, something greater than you that can bring you where you're trying to go on your journey. And you question yourself and you say, do I still believe that? Do I believe that with all my heart and all my soul? Because if you don't, it's hard to turn it over to them. Sounds a lot like Christianity, doesn't it? I do believe with all my heart that the 12 steps are a divinely inspired program. I think only God could have created something that is so life-giving, so life-saving, so transforming, and it has lessons for all of us. So when I say to you, it will save your life to save other lives, this is what I mean. So it's not just about being good people, reaching out to LA, reaching out to others who are struggling, others who need us because we can pat ourselves on the back. It is literally our own lives that are in our hands. So we do that. Our life as a community, our life as a church, our life as individuals. And then the third thing I asked myself was, okay, so exactly how are we going to do this? One heart, one day, one love at a time. That's how we do it. You know, funny thing was, the more I thought about that, the more I realized that's exactly how Christianity has come to this point. This is exactly how the followers of Jesus went from a ragtag bunch of people with no power, no money, no political pull, nothing, to a movement that has changed the world. They didn't try to go and take over Rome, take over the emperor's position, put out laws and edicts and force change on people. They simply lived the life that Jesus had taught them and shared it and gave it away and said, this is what it did for me. It can do this for you. Come with me. Amen. And you know what? That's exactly what AA did. It started out, AA, a ragtag bunch of people who were looking for some way desperately to survive, to live. And they started living a new way and sharing it with others. And it grew from AA to NA to adult children to OA to, there's an A for anything. You know, and we all need recovery from something, so there's an A for you. And it's spread around the world. And millions of lives have literally been saved. And it wasn't about, because we're not supposed to get up and, gather people up in big groups and make big pronouncements and go out and beat on the streets. And that's the secret of AA. It's okay for me to stand here and say I'm an alcoholic, but it's not okay for me to go out on the street and try to drag everybody in. That's not the way we do it. We share one heart to one heart. One person in trouble, we say, we know where you've been, friend. Been there, done that. This is how I changed my life around. And when we do that, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the person isn't ready. Just like I know some of you invited people to church. You've invited friends to church. You have encouraged them. You've told them what God's done in your life, how this church has been important to you. And sometimes it just doesn't work. They're not ready to hear it. But what we learn in AA is you just keep saying it. You just keep saying it, and even more important, you keep living it. Like the sermon title says, and that's an AA saying, you got to live it to give it. It doesn't do any good for you to tell somebody how wonderful this church is and what God has done for you if you're not living that way. And Reverend Neil preached to us last week on his first birthday wish was that we would be transformed, and that is living it. But once we're transformed, then I think we're called to give it away. And that's going to be our impact on Los Angeles. We're going to take what God's given us and we're going to pass it on. We're going to share our stories and we're going to invite people to come on our journey. We're not going to tell them how they need to live their lives. We're not going to tell them what's right and wrong. I think in some churches, we're simply going to say, look at us. Look at me. Look how my life is transformed. Come on. You want to walk with us? Here we are. Come on. And that's how we're going to have an impact on Los Angeles. And I'll leave you with one last AA thought. Keep coming back. It works.